Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to find the rule of sine and cos graph. Now we're going to learn different type of shape and what will be the general equation look like. And we're going to learn how to find the unknown constant here as well. Now imagine I have the first graph. So here you have the minimum. Here is the midline, the middle point, and here is the maximum. So if your graph start from the middle and it's go like that, right? And here up to here is one period. So the general form for this graph, it could be a sine graph without horizontal translation. So the general form will be y equal a is the amplitude times sine of nx plus b. Okay. How do we find A? A is the gap between the maximum and the middle, or between the middle and the minimum. So the gap between here and here is the amplitude, or you can do the gap between here and here. That's A. And how do we find B? B is technically the midpoint. So the midpoint is B, right? And to find n, if we are given a period is 2 pi over n, and then we can find n based on the period. But we're going to get to the example later on, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, same thing, if I start from the middle, okay, if I start from the middle and this time I go down like this, then this will be a sine graph, but this time you have a negative sign. So y equal negative a times sine of nx plus b. And again, to find a, b, and n, you exactly do the same strategy. And then for cos graph, so cos start from the maximum. So you have one, two, three. Cos will start from the maximum and it's go like this. And up to here is one period, right? Y equal a cos of nx plus b. And finally, if you have a graph that starts from the minimum, so and it's go like this, then your graph will be a negative cos, so negative a cos, sorry, negative a cos of nx plus b. Okay. So generally speaking, how do we find a, b, and n again? So we talk about a is the distance between. So if I have here, so that's the middle, okay, and here is the maximum. So the maximum here, that's the middle here. So A is the distance between the maximum and the middle, or the distance between the middle and the minimum. So technically, you can find A by finding the maximum minus the minimum divided by 2. Because you can see there are two amplitudes between the minimum and the maximum. All right. B is the translation up and down. So how do we find B? B just technically the middle point. So whatever the middle point here is B is a midline. B is a midline. Or if they give you the maximum and the minimum, you can take the average to get the middle, which is you do maximum plus minimum divided by 2. Okay, that's how we get A and B. And then N. N is the period, and we know the period is 2 pi on n. So to solve for n, we can do n equal 2 pi on a period. That's applied for all type of sine and cos equation. So all these graph, it's just the sine and cos depend on where they're starting, but they have the same strategy of how to find A, B, and N, right? Now we're going to do an example here of how to apply this to find the unknown. Here I have the amplitude equals 6. So they did tell me that I equals 6 and the period is equal 10. So with the period equal 10, you can find n by n is 2 pi on a period. So 2 pi on 10, which is 0.5. So find the value of a equals 6, we said that, n is pi 5, and yeah, sketch the graph of this. So the equation would be y equal 6 sine of pi on 5 t, and we want to sketch the domain is 0 to 10. So here we have the amplitude is 6, so the range go from -6 to 6, and our period is 10. So, and this is a side graph. Side graph start from the middle of 0 here. And we know that it's go like that up to here is 10, which is exactly one of is our domain as well. Okay. Um, Now we're going to do another example here, which is that sometimes they give you the graph and they want you to find the equation. So you can see because they start from the middle, 4 is the middle, 2 is minimum, 6 is the maximum. That's why it's a side graph and it's a positive side graph. So how do we find A? So we talk about A is the distance between middle and the maximum, or the distance between middle and the minimum. So A is, we can do 6 minus 4 equal 2. Okay. N, so to find N is based on the period. So N is 2 pi on a period. And the period is, if you look at the period, so we start here at 4, and then we go like this up to here is one period, which is 6. So 2 pound 6 is pound 3. And B, we talk about B is technically the middle point, which is 4. So B is a midpoint, the midline equal 4. There you go. So therefore, the equation will be y equal A is 2 sine of n is pound 3 t plus b is 4 plus 4. Okay. All right. Now here's another example. In this example, they don't give you a graph, but they give you the range. So you can see the range is -2 and 4. That's -2 is the minimum and 4 is the maximum. And the period equal 3. They want you to find A, N, and B. So let's start with A first. And if you record, we talk about how to find A here. If they give you maximum and minimum, you can just do A max minus min divided by 2. And B is max plus min divided by 2. If they didn't give you the graph and just the minimum and the maximum, okay? So A is max minus min divided by 2. So max is 4 minus min is -2 divided by 2. So it's 6 divided by 2 equal 3. That's the amplitude, 3. And then to find B, B is maximum plus minimum divided by 2. So 4 plus -2 divided by 2. So 2 divided by 2 gives you 1. And to find n, you base on the period. So n is 2 pi on a period. And the period is 3, so 2 pi on 3. There you go. So therefore, the equation will be y equal, substitute in A is 3, sine of B n t, n is 2 pi on 3, t plus 1. Okay. All right. Sometimes they might give you a horizontal translation like this with the plus, whatever they want here. So you pretty much do the same thing, but so you're going to find A, you're going to find N as normal. Then at the end, they're going to give you a point, and then you can substitute that point in, and you know everything. You can solve for epsilon here. Okay. So let's do this example. So we're going to find A first. So the range is -2 and 2. So minimum is -2 and maximum is 2. So A, just do it here. A is maximum minus minimum divided by 2. Maximum is 2 minus minimum is -2 divided by 2. So 4 divided by 2 equals 2. Or you can just say that the range is -2 to 2. So of course the amplitude equals 2. Now there's no B. B is a midline with 0 because so they don't move up and down at all. Okay. Now we just find n. N is 2 pi over a period, and the period equals 6. So 2 pi over 6 would give you pi over 3. So you found A and N. Now to find A, the epsilon thing, they only give you a point. The point here is 4 and 0. You can substitute that in. So substitute T as 4, Y is 0. You know A is 2. You know N is pi 3. You can solve for epsilon. Okay. So I sub Y equals 0 in here. So I have 0 equal I replace as 2 times psi n is pi 3 times t is 4 plus a, which is what I don't know, right? Then you just work it out. So there's a 2 in outside, so I divided by 2 to the other side. 0 divided by 2 is still give me 0. So I have 0 equal that. Now, to simplify this, pi over 3 times 4, I can rewrite this as 4 pi over 3 plus epsilon. Okay. Now, there's many answers for this because if you think of exact values, there's many angles that give you psi equal 0, but we can just pick one. Okay. So the angle that has psi equal 0, which is either on the unit circle, psi is the y-axis. The angle that has psi equal 0 is either 0 degree or 180 degree. So we can do either 0 or pi. So whatever that is here inside, that have to be equal 0 or pi. So we would have 4 pi over 3 plus epsilon equals 0 or pi. Then we can solve epsilon from here. So epsilon equal, we minus 4 pi on 3 over negative 4 pi on 3 or pi minus 4 pi on 3. Pi minus 4 pi on 3, that will give us negative pi over 3. So we can rewrite that as negative pi over 3. So that could be a two possible answer for epsilon. Okay. Now we do this example here. In this example, we has the graph start at the minimum is -4. So for sure, we know that it will be a negative cos graph, right? So it will be negative a cos of nx plus b. Now to find a, we talk about a is the distance between the middle and the maximum. That's a, or that can be a as well. So a is 4, okay, cos. Now to find n, we do n is 2 pi on a period, and the period is, you can see the period equal 12, so 2 pi on 12, that gives you pi on 6. So n is pi on 6, x plus, and b is a midline, so the middle line is 0, as you can see. So that's b. So technically you plus 0, and you don't have to plus 0. So -4 cos of pi on 6 x, like that. All right, I'm going to do the last example, which is a lot more comprehensive because you kind of have everything here, A and epsilon and D, so all type transformation. And they give you the minimum, maximum period, and the point. So we use the same strategy, okay? So A is maximum minus minimum divided by 2. Maximum is 4, minimum is 0 over 2, which is 2. We find D, so D is a midline, maximum plus minimum divided by 2. 4 plus 0 divided by 2, that will give you 2. To find n, so n is 2 pi on a period, and our period equals 6, so 2 pi on 6, which gives you pi on 3. And then to find epsilon here, they give you a point. A point is when t equal 1, y equal 3. So you can sub it in and find epsilon, and you do know everything. So let's sub it in. So y, I replace as 3. Maybe I just do it at the back. So I have 3 equal a is 2 psi of n is pound 3 times t, they give me t equal 1 plus epsilon plus d equal d, they tell me d equal 2. Then from here, I just solve for epsilon, okay? So 3 equal 2 psi of pi on 3 plus epsilon plus 2. Then you move everything over. Opposite of plus 2 is minus 2 on this side. 3 minus 2 gives you 1. 1 equal 2 psi of pi on 3 plus epsilon. Then opposite of time by 2 is divided by 2 here. So you would have a half equal psi of that. Now the angle that have psi equal a half, which is, if you think about unit circle, the angle have psi equal a half in quadrant 1 is 30 degrees, which is pound 6, right? Because you want psi to be positive, you could have quadrant 2 make it psi positive as well, ASTC. So pi minus pound 6 in this quadrant, that gives you 5 pound 6. Okay, so whatever inside here, so you would have pi on 3 plus epsilon equal pi on 6 or 5 pound 6. You can solve for epsilon. So to solve for epsilon, you minus pound 3 over, so pound 6 minus pound 3 or 5 pound 6 minus pound 3. Then you can, just take away fraction, make them the same denominator. So times 2 here, pi minus 2 pi is negative pi over 6 at the denominator. Or we got times 2 here, 5 pi minus 2 pi is 3 pi. So 3 pi over 6 or pi over 2 if you simplify the fractions. And there you go. You have two possible answers for epsilon.